Demand is a very business-oriented word. There's software available in Sanskrit language, and Sanskrit is a died language, obsolete language, 0 speakers. Maybe there are a few speakers, but it's a died language. So we still need technology from the government perspective. Government needs to supply. Even there are 50 people who speak Azalbashi languages in Afghanistan. This is the responsibility of the government to enable that. This is the responsibility of the technology companies to enable that. So what Paul Saab's presentation was, in order to create more content, create that demand within ourselves. And my presentation is about, can we create our content? Is computer able to understand our language? Can I have the clicker? Okay, so this is my email. You can email me, and I use Twitter. How do I? Yeah, okay. Okay, this is also a very business-driven quotation that I've gathered. It says over 6 billion people live in over 200 countries, spanning 24 different time zones. These people use hundreds of currencies to conduct business in thousands of different languages and dialects. Their business practices are all over the map, ranging from simple barter to cash to electronic payment to sophisticated, even the word sophisticated is very sophisticated, arbitrage. Okay, so this means, from globalization perspective, we are not living in Afghanistan anymore. We are making payments on eBay through PayPal, and then we are using Facebook, which is based in California. Servers are hosted in Ireland. So which policies are applied to it? It's our own responsibility to find out. So the slide that Hiwat Pasir presented were, they were from, I think, 2 different times. 51.8% or over 50% of the websites are in English language. And if you see these other languages, non-English languages, they're not even 10%. And in that chart, you can have a look at this chart at this website. When I make that slides available on our website, then you can click on it, and you will see that even though Persian, which includes Dari language, is somewhere here, 1.6% of websites or 1.6% of the content on the internet is in Persian language, but only 0.1% is Pashto. Okay? So do we have the demand? Yes, we have demand. We are 50 million Pashto users, and I don't know how many, over 100 plus Persian speaking users. But then again, we have so little content available on the internet. So it's not always about the demand. The demand is there, but it's just that we have to understand that we have to see that. And then IDRC, in one of their reports, says that communities advance when computers speak their language. So when there's a computer that speaks my language, then I can say whatever I want, and they can translate that into text or whatever, and the computer can understand me a lot better. So in the report, it also said that a major obstacle to internet use is the unavailability of the local languages. With 3,500 local languages in Asia-Pacific region, and fewer than 10% of people able to communicate in English, internet use is typically restricted to urban areas. So meaning that only the people who are in the cities, in Kabul, Mazar, Herat, they are able to communicate on the internet, and then we are not able to understand why is this 5% of the internet users not growing any further, because we don't have content. And we also have a lack of highly skilled engineers, linguists, and sociologists who enable these discussions and these technical discussions and put together some sort of standard. I'm going to skip that so that we can address everything. Okay, the next question is local language support. Why do we need local language support? What are the benefits of local language support? One thing that we can come up with is that we want to enable ourselves. We want to enable ourselves to read and write on the internet so that we can communicate on the internet, which leads to community empowerment, which also leads to intelligent or information societies, knowledge sharing, a number of different things. You can add them. If we had probably more time, we could probably add them, but no. Of course, we can do a lot more research on our languages. Language preservation. There are 2 to 4 Afghan languages which are dying, and there are a number which have already died. So, of course, we can use them. We can use computer to enable them and then preserve them for our future generations. And then also able some of the dying languages, some of the languages that are dying, where the local speakers are 500 people only, somewhere in Herat, somewhere in Wakhan or somewhere. We can preserve them using computers. And also, of course, we want to enable ourselves to automate some of the tasks that we do. Tasks, just like iPhone Siri. We use, I think, use Siri in English only, or maybe French and Spanish, but we don't use, or we don't even think about using Siri in Pashto and Dari. And then the questions of technologies such as Google Translate. Yeah, they have enabled Farsi and Pashto recently, but we don't have text-to-speech, we don't have speech-to-text, and a number of different other, like OCR, optical character recognition. These technologies we don't have in our local languages. So there are two terminologies that are important for software developers and also other linguists and other people. One is the internationalization of a computer program, and the second is the localization. Internationalization is the process of designing software application so that it can potentially be adapted to various languages and regions without engineering changes, which means you don't have to change anything in your code in order to make that exact same application localized in other languages. Localization is the process of adopting internationalized software for a specific region or language by adding locale-specific components. And now what is locale? Locale is a set of parameters that define the user's language, region, and any special variant preferences that the user wants to see in their user interface. Things like number system, calendar, the currency that we use, the keyboard layout, the paper sizes. Some countries use A4, some prefer using letter size. Date and time format. Some say, I want to write the day first, and then month, and then year. Some say, no, month and day and year. Phone numbers, 2, 2, or 3, or 3, 3, and 4, these formats are specific to a nation. System of measurements, do we use kilogram or pounds, and these things. Postal address format, and these are all the different things that make up a locale. And this locale, then we use that in our software to make that more internationalized and more localized. And there's also another term that I want to bring in, and that is the gender neutral. Sometimes you see those avatars in some software. By looking at the avatar, by having a hijab on that over her head, or by having mustache on that, you can easily tell what gender are they referring to. So even some people are very critical of that. They're saying that, no, you should not be using a particular gender in a software, for example. For example, you're using the help in Microsoft Office. And that help comes with what does it come with? Bill, John, or something? So why is it John? Why is it Bill? Why is it not, Mahmuda or Hamida or something? And then the technology. So if we talk about local languages, so these are the two main things that we want to do. We want to read in our local languages, and we want to write in our local languages. That's it. Hibat Palsip talks about the different types of things that we can use in order to write and read, but this is primarily what we want to do. And these are the different environments or vendors or operating systems available widely in Afghanistan. One is Microsoft Windows, Google Android, Mac OS, and then Java and Oracle. We have our Pashto and Dari enabled in Microsoft Windows back when this was Windows XP. So ever since, we can read in Windows XP and any of the operating system of Microsoft. But Pashto and Dari, they were enabled in Service Pack 3. So ever since Service Pack 3 of Windows operating system, we can write in Windows operating system. Google, Android 5, we enable that, they enable that. And in Google 7, they enable the input method editor as well. Mac OS, I'm not too sure about reading, but in OS Capitan, I think they enable the writing capability. And then we have these two different platforms that we have, Java and Oracle. They use Unicode to enable reading and writing. And what is Unicode? Unicode is a standard which sets a universal encoded character set that enables information from any language to be stored using a single character set. So for example, this is Fei. So every little character that we have in our languages, every one of them have some sort of code, FED1. So why are we using Unicode and why not ASCII? Can someone tell me? ASCII, why are we using Unicode and why are we not using ASCII? So back in the days, there was ASCII, which was very limited. And that coding system was primarily created for the purposes of the English languages only. But Unicode has a lot more capability of adapting or including more languages and more character sets. And then we have some standardization issues in Afghanistan. Okay, so if, do you see any problem here?
Yeah, the letters are different.
Yeah, so if you see here, we use both. And I have the examples here. I don't just bold something. 1 2 3 4 دا 4 او دا 4 کې ډیر فرق دی او مونږ په افغانستان کې دوه استعمالو او زه چې کله هم چې مونږ استعمالو د مطلب دی چې مونږ دولت استعمالوي دا د افغانستان د 1999 موټر لایسنس پلیټ په دغه کې 4 دا رقم ته لیکل شوی دی دا د 2004 لایسنس پلیټ د دغه کې 4 دا رقم ته لیکل شوی دی نو دا رقم ته سټانډرډایزیشن ایشوز مونږ لرو چې هغه کمپیوټر نه پیږي چې مونږ ته کوم لوکیل غواړي ته کوم 4 غواړي هغه درته یي کله کله مونږ مایکروسافټ سره ګوګل سره جنگ کوو چې دا خو دې غلط کړی دی هغه درته یي چې ورور هغه figure it out yourself first and then come to me. And also sometimes we use this. Even if you go to home and grab your Brezhnev electricity bill, in that same bill you will see this, you will see this, and you will see this. All 3 numbers in one bill. And you will see 2 different date formats. In that same Brezhnev electricity bill, I couldn't find an example to show it here. In that same electricity bill, we have 2007. You will see a 2017 date on it, and you will also see a 1395 date on it. But sometimes we also switch to the Hijri lunar or Hijri Qamari system. Back in the Taliban time, we did that. We did that switch. So we use all of these different calendar systems. Where did it go? Okay, and then we have some more standardization issues which create problems in order to build software in different operating systems or in different applications. One of them is that Kaf and Kaf, even though they look the same, they don't look the same, but their purpose is the same. They sound the same, Ka. But we use them both together. But if you see in this Unicode chart, Kaf here, this is the Arabic Kaf, which is 0643. For a computer, these are 2 different things, 0689, okay? So we have to sort of standardize that. One way of standardizing these things is, again, technology, because we keep failing as people, as human beings, as politicians, as states, we are failing. So we keep on failing, and we come back to technology, and then we have another phenomenon called normalization. Normalization says that whenever you see this Kaf, pretend that I said this Kaf, okay? So replace that. Or when I say this Ya, replace that with this Ya, or replace that with this Ya. Even though this Ya is different, we don't use that in Afghanistan, but we use it in Pakistan. in Pashto language. So we have some problem within that language cross-border. Okay, I think this is the final slide. So this is a status of the major languages of Afghanistan. And do we have an alphabet set? And do we have an input method editor, which is a technical term for writing something on the computer? So Pashto, yes, we have a full character set, an alphabet set, and yes, we have an input method editor. Dari, yes, yes. Uzbeki, we have a character set, but we don't have input method editor in Windows or Mac or Android or even any third-party applications. Turkmeni, yes, but no. Pashai alphabet set was created in 2003. So you see all these languages that you see here. These are all spoken languages, including Sanglichi, Ishkashmi. These are 2 Pamiri languages. They don't even have a character set. They don't even write those languages. So one of the things that what we are trying to say here, that not only we have to create content, but we have to enable ourselves to create content and enable the technologies. And one way of enabling our technology is to go back home and find out these linguists of these languages, talk to them and tell them that we need character sets before we can create input method editor for you in the computers. And then we sit together and work on some standards, that this is the keyboard layout and that we should be developing. And Imal Marjan, the ex-deputy minister of information technology, he is here. Back in 2003, he gave me a task, and he's like, go talk to whoever type and this company, and we worked on the standardization issues for Pashto, Dari, and Uzbeki. But even though we have defined Uzbeki keyboard layout, but no vendor is adapting that. But then again, that is, maybe it's a demand thing, but maybe then again, it's a government push too, that we need to talk to these major vendors, Oracle and Microsoft and Google, and tell them that, hey, we have demand here. Create this thing that you're working on. And they can easily do that because they have localization teams over there, and they do work on that. If you have any questions to me or Himatpal, because I interrupted him, so please ask.
Yeah, I'll give you just 2 examples. Skill set. Your skill set is bagi khalak paisa paida kare. Your skill set is the sab chute pisadi to paise na lage ekta sare. Pata tha if you are a very good programmer, they will pay you. There will be always be this distinction. You will not do everything to find the job. You will go create local content to, how do you put it, to boost your own profile. Typically, legal case as an Falastar or Yuri, Falatasi creates a startup. The Maba Nedar, community generated individual content. Yakola Facebook content only is generated. Margur months teaches it's a bahas coverage mark among social pressure. The Yakar Chizul Margur Kikinam, I'll do a lot of jokes. As a Birun Chadanash, as a Bakala Shaving Chatino, it is go Margur months. That's the discussion of a content. That's the content generated which is to you well satisfaction. वो आगा बाहस भाई yes foreign language दुरुसान वक्त की उसी चले जाने में इंग्लिशी बाजार करेंगे सभा को दिमाग ते चीज़ों को कुछ नया दाल सभा कुछ नया बाजार करेंगे that shape भाई but you have to know that distinction it comes to your बाजार लेके
but for local content we need local audiences but these kind of pressures we are losing the audiences
yes I agree
local content will have no audience for that
I agree. If we are having this discussion, mean there is demand for it. I agree. We are losing it. Globally, there are mushkil tools and that's why we have to have some kind of an option.
Yeah, and if you have to look into these things from a business perspective, yes, there is not enough demand. There is not enough money in it. But these sort of issues are usually handled by people who have passion for something. Okay, it doesn't have to have a lot of money in it, but you have to have some passion. You have to have some sort of objectives and passion that I want to be able to achieve a language so that they can read and write, you know. So it's not always about money, it's about profession and passion as well. Well, it all depends on the opinion. The fact that the language, English language, is not a mainstream language in Afghanistan, there are people who can read and write in local languages but not in English language, means that there is demand for local content, okay? But it's just that we don't understand it. We have to create content. The content doesn't have to be textual always. It can be images, it can be videos, which our people who are illiterate, who cannot read and write, they can still understand what we are saying in their language. Because یو څه پښتو کې زه یو څه ریکارډ کوم ویډیو جوړ کوم هر څوک په پوهیږي هغه نالوستي هم په پوهیږي خو ډیمانډ شته ده. But it's just that we have to discover it. Any other questions? Yes. او ډیر خپل سوال ده خو زه دا وایم چې زه خو صحیح سره نه یم چې درته وایم چې راځي چې په خپل ژبه ویاړ وکړو خو زه درته وایم چې په خپل ژبه کې مواد جوړول ضرورت دی ولې چې موږ داسې وروسته پاتې منطقې دي داسې ولایتونه دي چې هلته خلک په انګلیسي نه پوهېږي نو هغوی خلکو دپاره ما خو درته ووایي چې موږ مقصد دا دی چې نن ورځې کې دغه څو کسان چې راټول یو چې موږ وایو چې د انټرنیټ د استعمال نه تاسو راوباسو او اوس درته وایي چې راشئ اوس انټرنیټ جوړ کړئ تاسو اوس انټرنیټ کې چې څومره محتویات دي څومره مواد دي هغې نه کار وکړئ خپلې ژبې کې وي که په انګلیسي ژبې کې وي که فرانسوي ژبې کې وي خو خیر دی هغه د افغانستان په باره کې په انګلیسي کې هم کولی کې هغه هم لوکل کانټکسټ ده خو چې لوکل کلچر سره او د کوم پرنسپ چې موږ لرو هغوی سره برابر وي نو ضرورت په نظر ورته لیدلی شو خو ویاړ هغه یو بل بحث دی که یو که نه هغه او بیا زه دا یم چې راځئ چې دا دواړه کارونه یو ځای وکړو هغه نور یې بیخي هم شکر
از محتوای زبان شما مستقیم اول باید فرهنگ شده میان مردم تعریف کنیم مثال ما میبینیم فیسبوک مثلا دیگه کانتنت با فارسی یعنی فیسبوک آسان ساخته کسایی که زیادتر از فیسبوک فارسی زبانش استفاده میکنن بسیار کانتنت یا محتوای غیر فارسی اما کسایی که فیسبوک و انگلیسی استفاده میکنن یا بسیار چیز اکادمیک و علمی هم می‌سازن نظر بر اشخاص
اول بحث فرهنگ چه و فرهنگ چیست؟ فرهنگ شروعش از این محتوا میشه مثال اگر من بحث فرهنگ میکنم بحث فرهنگ از تاریخ ما آمده از مثال اجدادی که کام قراره که نمسایی واقعی که من زندگی میکنم از اون اساس وقتی که بحث ما از محتواست دیگر این بحث همیشه میباشه شما کدام لسان یک قسم استفاده میکنید ما اگر در 200 سال آینده هم به انگلیسی رسیدیم شاید بسیار سریع رفته باشیم دلیلش چیست؟ دلیلش که تساهاتی که مثال بگیریم که ناساست او به یک سیاره 4 میلیارد دلار مصرف میکنه برای اینکه یک ستلایت روان میکنه کلی بودجه مملکت ما شاید 4 میلیارد دلار نباشه و او یک ستلایت روان میکنه که پسش من جایه تنانچه میکنه برای دیتا را روان میکنه میگه تا وقتی که شاید یک روزی بیایید میگه زمین برای امحانا بیاد ما همینطور یک اصطلاح است و چی هست که کلی خارجی ها میره در محتاب و زمین برای ما مادن جنجال است but you have to start somewhere and that's our discussion point here we have to start somewhere
so we have our guests here and we don't want to take too much of their time and then we will what we have right now is a panel discussion. So after the end of the whole days of discussions about what the internet is, how the infrastructure is working, what were the different stakeholders in Afghanistan, we have created a panel discussion on infrastructure, access, and the development policies of the government, of the telecom sector. So we have a gentleman here from telecom, and we also have Imal Marjan with us, who is the ex-deputy minister, and we also have Javed Hamdard, who is an industry expert. So I would like to invite them here to the stage, if you don't mind. Mr. Javed Hamdard, Mr. Imal Marjan, and Mr. Natya Raju.
Production, an innovative media production house.